How would you feel right now if what you wanted was already done? We're going to talk about it on today's podcast. I've spent the last 20 years studying, teaching, and coaching people to find their greatness and take their lives to the next level. Along the way, it's become evident that emotions are at the root of everybody's successes and failures. Worry and fear are the enemies, and it's time to forge the armor and earn the tools to overcome the two things that could single-handedly destroy your future. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson, and I'm a life coach, a peak performance trainer, and I'm the emotions guy. It's time to take back control of how you feel, control of how you act, and control of how you experience life. It's time to become a lifer, a new breed of overachiever focused on living every minute to its fullest. We are responsible for how we feel, and no one and no thing can make us feel anything. Emotional mastery is our journey, and emotional education and intelligence is the key. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast, and I'm excited that you joined me today because we're going to talk about what it would feel like right now if what you wanted in your world, in life, in business, in your relationship, in your life, in your magic life, we're going to talk about what would it feel like right now if it was already done. In fact, you know what? Let's not just talk about it. Let's feel about it. Wait, what? Who says that? Nobody says that. We should start saying that more often. Let's feel about it instead of let's talk about it. Because sometimes our words are distracting. They become means by which to use an excuse, to create an excuse. They become a barrier. They become a wall. They become something between you and what it is that you want. And so why not discuss for just a moment what we want to feel? If the thing that you want was done already, right now, if it was done already, how would you feel about it? Now, this is interesting, right? Because so many people shoot after championships. I've trained so many champions in my world and in my life. I've worked with high-level athletes, high-level business people. And you know what? They all shoot for that championship, for that thing. They want to hoist the trophy. And inevitably, I ask them after the fact, that felt pretty good, right? And they go, yeah, that felt really good. I said, how long did it last? And they go, well, maybe, by the end of the night, it started to wear off. And I was like, the end of the night? They're like, yeah, it's, it was kind of cool for the first hour. You ask somebody that hit $1 million funnel, you go, how was it? They were like, it was great. I saw it and it happened and it was amazing. And I said, how long did it last? And they go, yeah, well, then I moved on to the next thing, right? So if it's just about feeling that moment, wouldn't it be more fun if we could just feel that moment the whole way through, the whole time? Yeah, it would be fun. And guess what? Your mind and your soul don't know the difference between imagination and reality. And there's been all sorts of cool scientific studies about it. Don't quote me on it. Go look it up. Google is your friend. And you can find some of those studies. And they're very intriguing to look at, right? Because they've done brain scans and all this kind of stuff to see your brain at work doing the imagination thing and doing the actual real thing, and they look the same. The brain waves and the blah 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 blah, that's all the same, right? And so what I'm saying is that if your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, then why not feel it right now? So right now, I want you to take a second. Right now, you and I, we're going to do it. Okay, I'm going to talk through it. You're not. I mean, you're welcome to talk too. I can't hear you, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of something you really, really, really want, right? Like my son a couple weeks ago decided he wanted a trick bike, and he put it in his head and he thought he really wanted it and it was out of his range. And then he found a way because he felt it. He felt how good it would feel to really have it. I don't know that he knew what he was doing. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he hangs out with me enough that he did it just because he should do it, right? My daughter's the same way. All of them, really. She decided she wanted a snake and she just kept feeling it and she kept imagining what it would be like. And next thing you know, she caught herself a snake. To not the happiness of my wife, for sure. But she still has a steak and she figured out a way to keep it, right? So what is it that you want? Like, this could be a material thing. This could be an achievement in business. This could be a championship in a sport. This could be a new business. You know, maybe you want to buy a building. Maybe you want to change location. Maybe you want to hire more employees. Maybe you want to get rid of more employees and have a smaller team. Like, what is it that you want? And with that thing that you want, what feelings does that want represent? Think about that for just a second, for just a moment. What feelings? Meaning, would it feel exciting? Would it feel happy? You know, we oftentimes talk about our senses, and if you needed to, could you imagine what it would look like? Can you imagine what it would look like if you achieved that thing that you wanted, or if you got that thing that you wanted? Imagine the picture, because sometimes that helps us get to the place of the feeling. Sometimes it's hard to jump right to the feeling, right? But if you can imagine what that would look like. Now imagine for a second what it would sound like. What would that achievement sound like? See, like right now, I can imagine it. Right now, I can imagine that achievement in my mind. I can see myself in it. And I can imagine exactly what it would sound like. Yeah, absolutely. I can hear it. I can almost hear it clearly. I can hear some of the words that are going to be said in that situation. And as I see it and as I hear it, I can start to feel it. I can start to actually feel inside what it would feel like, because I have a great imagination, and so do you. And so what would it feel like? What would it feel like if you were in that moment and you were getting that thing that you wanted? What would it feel like? Where would you feel it? Would you feel it in your hands? Would you feel it in your back? Would you feel it in your feet or your legs? Or maybe it's just between your ears. Maybe it'd be in your eyeballs. Can you imagine what it would feel like, and how great it would feel to have just be in that moment and know, yeah, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. What would it feel like if it was done right now? If it was done, what would it feel like? Just lean in and imagine some more about it, and really just lean in. It's like a nice, perfect piece of chocolate. If you like chocolate, you get that good stuff from England. Yeah. It's that perfect dessert. Just feels good going down. What's it feel like? Do it right now and just feel that right now. It's done. If it's done, what does it feel like when it's done? That moment right there, that moment when it's happening and it's done. Is it a relief? Is the weight lifted off your shoulder? Lift it off right now. What's it feel like if it was done? Feel it right now. Don't wait. I know this sounds crazy and froofy, but your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So just do it now. Just do it now. And you know what? Put this on anytime you need to. Listen to this episode 200 more times just so you can do it again. It's done. It's done, and feel it now. Because you know what? If you have this ability, if you have this skill that you can learn and do over and over again, and you can learn to feel it now, you'll stop waiting till someday. You just feel it now. That's awesome. That is amazing that you can do this right now. Well, guess what? You can do it for any number of things. If you want an item, if you want this item, and you can just go, well, I imagine. And you go, well, I have no imagination of it. And that's why you hear about successful people all over going, well, I really wanted that car, so I went and test drove it, because they wanted to have that experience, that feeling of what it would be like to get that car, that truck, or that special thing. They go try on the clothes before they can actually afford them. But some people, it doesn't work for them like that. Some people, it's better for you just to imagine it, because you might actually imagine it better than it actually is. And in so many instances, what most champions and successful people will tell you is that the journey was way more worth the actual destination. Now, don't get me wrong, the moment of the destination was incredible, but it was only just that moment. And now what represents that moment is a journey of moments leading up to it. And that's why the journey is more important, because the journey represents all of these pieces along the timeline and all of these moments that were built up of your feelings, of how you felt each moment along the way, when things worked out, when they didn't work out, when you failed and when you succeeded, these little successes and these little failures and setbacks that help you learn the next thing. All of those things add up to the journey, and all of those things should had emotions that were inside of it. You should be feeling, and you will be feeling each step of the way. But that one moment, the destination, that thing at the end is just one moment, and it'll only last for a little bit. So you might as well do it now, so that you can have the privilege of saying, you know what, I created that and I experienced it each step of the way. And so in that moment, yes, it was great. And guess what? It might even be a little different, which is why you want to accomplish it. Might be a little different than you imagined. And if it is, great. Now you have that and the journey. But it's time right now to just take a moment and see what it would look like. Use your good imagination, hear all the sounds that would be in it, and literally feel it through the body. And it's that simple. Do it today. Do it again. Do it tomorrow. Listen to this episode again and use this to help guide you through. And when you need a moment, just to remember to feel the destination. How would you feel right now if it was done? Make it done. Have that feeling. Don't forget, every minute. We'll see you on the next episode. Happiness is a choice. Sadness is a choice. All emotions are a choice. Sometimes doing our emotions doesn't seem like it's our choice, but it is. You have control. You are the captain of your ship, and you must learn how to be the best captain you can be. Let me show you how. Pick up your free copy of my new book, Every Minute, at everyminutebook.com.